And from the studios of WYES in New Orleans, look at the
We've been back in the 80s. I'm sorry.
Delighted to be here with you.
Live, doesn't it?
And I am so grateful to all of these gentlemen here who chose to spend an extra day in New Orleans.
Whoa. I'm not speaking for the rest of them, but I never chose to be here. They told me to be here. I had to be here.
One way or the
I don't know
other.
what you're talking about.
You know who we are. You know what we're here to talk about. Roll the highlights. Super Bowl 59 here in New Orleans. The quarterbacks were ready. The president was in attendance. Taylor Swift was in attendance. The Chiefs were looking for a three-peat, but it starts out quickly. Jalen Hurts, 3rd and 5. Incomplete. But we got a flag. Dan's a good call.
I thought both the calls early were poor. The pass interference on A.J. Brown and that 3rd down, unsportsmanlike conduct, and it leads to Jalen Hurts versus man coverage, changing the play at the line of scrimmage, finding Dotson down to the 1-yard line, and then the play that we know is unstoppable, tush push for an early score.
And so if you had Jalen Hurts in the first touchdown, you were liking it. Then second quarter, it's 10-0, and this is the sequence that really defines the game. Lewis, the pressure on Mahomes on 1st and 2nd down.
Yeah, look, he could never keep his eyes down the field. As he tried to escape up into the pocket, you saw immediately his eyes were coming down. He was just trying to survive. That was something that he was never able to get comfortable with. Credit the Philadelphia Eagles pass rush, man. They were on it all night.
And that leads to this, Teddy, on the 3rd down play. It's Cooper DeJean on his birthday.
The birthday boy, rookie Cooper DeJean, reading Patrick Mahomes. Of course, the pressure forces him out the pocket. But look at Sirianni. We're fired up in Philly. DeJean, the birthday boy, with the pick 6. The route is on.
My people say thank you, Cooper.
The face says it all. And then Mahomes, under pressure, Dominique deep in his own territory. He's picked again.
The story of this game, we already started out, it's about pressure getting put in his lap. You can't deliver accurate passes like that. Great hands for a linebacker there,
That's
Teddy.
my guy, Zach Bond. You know he's going to catch that one.
Teddy's favorite player in the league. 2 plays later, the game ended. There's really no other way to say it. A.J. Brown, untouched. It's 24-0. And then a critical moment, Dan. 3rd and 11. Chiefs with a chance to do something before halftime. DeAndre Hopkins might still be running if they catch this.
If this is connected, they score. DeAndre Hopkins scores, and you may have some life. Patrick outside the pocket. Him and Hop just don't see it, connect the same way, and it's incomplete pass, and in that moment you're like, oh, they're done.
You saw the reaction from Chris Jones as 24-0 at the half, and then more of the same, Rex, the pressure just getting to Mahomes.
And it was unbelievable. The most dominant unit on the field was that defensive line for Philadelphia.
Sweat had 2.5 sacks. Eagles get it back. Dan, Saquon Barkley, he did not dominate this game, but certainly was a huge factor.
Yeah, I would tell you he dominated every snap before it ever happened because the man coverage and the commitment to stopping the run was huge, and then his ability to make plays when he got the opportunity outside the pocket. Jalen Hurts finds them, and this offense did whatever they wanted.
And speaking of doing whatever they wanted, late 3rd quarter, Danny, Devontae Smith. Boom.
Just an unbelievable throw by Jalen Hurts. They double team A.J. Brown. Look at the pocket, the play action pass, and Jalen throws a perfect post over the top.
It was 34-0, and then to add insult to injury, or maybe injury to insult, whichever way you want to look at it, it's Mahomes back again. This is going to be the Eagles' 6th sack of the night. And on this play, Mahomes almost has his arm ripped off, gets punched in the face, and the ball comes loose. Williams with the recovery, and the celebration was on early. Look at the dancing on the Philadelphia sideline. Saquon Barkley is a Super Bowl champion. Jalen Hurts is the MVP. The Eagles win Super Bowl 59.
She looked prettier in person. I tell you that. You think about it. It's better in person than it is in Madden. I tell you that. Playing as a kid, but it's everything you dream of. And I'm just happy to be able to, hold it, give it a kiss, and be world champs.
We're gonna play wordplay here.
My dog.
Okay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. What is he?
Dog.
Jalen Carter.
Dog.
Cooper DeJean.
Dog.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Dog.
Defense full of dogs. You're the top dog.
Dog. Dog.
And now you're a Super Bowl champion, man.
Super Bowl champ. This is unbelievable.
It's only the beginning until it's the end, and the end ain't coming anytime soon.
Okay, so put your feet up. We've got nothing but time to break down all the things that we saw last night. And Rex, when we got into a car quite early this morning, what was the first thing you said to me?
I said, there's an old football adage. When you hit the quarterback, the entire team feels it. No better example of that than last night. You saw it, man. It deflated the entire football team. You can't protect the quarterback, every single part of it. Even your own defense feels it. So trust me, that's what this game was all about. They couldn't handle the pressure, and it was game, set, match.
And almost recognizing the pass rush plan in terms of what it was. It was Taylor the tackle. It was Tooney playing tackle. It was speed to power, press the pocket. Press the pocket, make Patrick feel the pressure quickly. He steps up right into Jalen Carter, right into the great defensive tackles, and all of a sudden, he's looking flustered. So the plan to press the pocket and just get to Patrick that way, take advantage, finally. Someone took advantage of a left guard playing left tackle.
And there's no scheme for physicality. As we're looking for answers, it's like, look, everybody in front of us is better than the guys on the other side. And they were just whooping them from beginning to end of this game. It was ugly. And we have to give some credit to the discipline of that defense. They were disciplined in their pass lanes. How many times do we see a good outside pass rush end up with Mahomes running for first down? No, they were disciplined and under control. When guys got the ball in open field, you didn't see any missed tackles from the Eagles. Like, as talented as they were, they're also smart and under control the entire game until they punched Patrick in the face at the end.
Look, I went to practice to see the Chiefs on Friday, and one of the first things Andy told me was this. He said, look, we're going to need to match their physicality from play one, and it's the number one thing he was going to be watching. Well, from play one, you could see right then, they were in it. They were going to be in for it all night long, and they never had an answer for it. And look, Rex is right. As soon as the quarterback felt how much different this game was going to be, with them just rushing 4 and covering with 7, and they didn't need to send any extra rushers, he was like, well, look, this is going to be the way this night's going to go, and they never had an answer for it.
So the two of you guys did the game for International last night, Lewis and Dan, along with Chris Fowler. So you're obviously in the vantage point of in the booth and describing it. Dan, from a quarterback's perspective, and what I'm doing here is not talking about Patrick Mahomes. I'm talking about that defense and the pressure. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes look like he looked last night. Why?
Yeah, it's the most unsettled and flustered I've ever seen Patrick look. It's the worst game I've ever seen Patrick play. The pressure that was happening forced his eyes to drop, his feet to be all over the place, and that led to uncharacteristic misses for Patrick Mahomes. Really, the second pass of the game it happened. He's got Kelsey on a little bit of an inbreaker versus that middle field open coverage. He hits this, it's a first down, and they got some rhythm offensively. It's behind Kelsey on his back hip, and it's a miss. This is a third down. He's got a little wrap in route, and he's got a spot route by Kelsey. He throws it into the dirt, and it's 3rd and 3, and it's off the field instead of a conversion. Now another opportunity to get outside the pocket. This is the one we talked about. Look at the space that DeAndre Hopkins has. It's 24-0, but if he hits that, it's 24-7. You get the ball at half. Maybe it's a story at least throughout of the game, but it's the most flustered and unsettled and nervous. And there was a play in the game we were talking about in the broadcast where he sets to his left to throw like a quick ball and immediately starts to turn and run, and the receivers for his offense are like 2 or 3 yards downfield. And my thought was, where are you going? Why are you running away that quickly? He totally felt the pressure from Philadelphia.
Yeah, the disruption up front was the production, along with the production they were getting. But look, that's an adage in scouting. Disruption is production. It isn't always about sacks. It's about the quarterback feeling it. And Patrick Mahomes, as great as he is, he felt that disruption last night.
Yeah, absolutely, Lewis. I mean, look, rattle his cage, man. And that's what it is. He had no confidence, right, in his protection. And when that happens, you become inaccurate. You miss some throws that you've made all your life. Well, guess what? It happens. And, man, they absolutely rattled his cage.
That play right there, it's like we got to try and run screens. They're all over the screen also.
They only ran 1 screen in the first half, by the way, and 3 rushing attempts. That contributed
See, that
to
was
this
another
butt
thing
kicking,
that was shocking to me. It was very obvious early on, and we kept saying it on the broadcast, you cannot drop back to pass. You just can't. And the fact that they didn't try to run the football much, you said 3 runs
3 rushing
in the
attempts.
first half. They didn't really try to go play action. They didn't try to put 12 personnel, 2 tight ends in the field and help with some of their protection. And so you're sitting there, and if you just watch Philadelphia defensively, they all played like top down. They sat on every pass because it was going to happen so quickly, and they didn't do anything to try to get them uncomfortable Philadelphia defensively.
It was clear early in this game that Andy Reid and Matt Nagy thought they could win this game playing it a certain way, and the running game wasn't going to be a big part of it, and they just weren't going to get off of it. They felt if we can protect it long enough to where Patrick can move up in the pocket, and the interior of the pocket was sound enough to where he can then distribute the football like he has all year long, they would have a chance. Problem was, when Patrick was moving up in the pocket, he wasn't looking down the field. He was wondering, where's 98 at? Where's 93 at? Because these guys were hitting him upside the head in a way that he had never been hit before, and it just changed everything, and they never came off of that plan.
So let's try and explain, because anyone, all of us watching the game, could see the domination of it. The Chiefs have had offensive line issues all year long. We've never seen it look like this. Teddy, what specifically did the Eagles do that so thoroughly dominated that line and flustered Mahomes that way?
I think the plan that they implemented was it was one of physicality, first of all, and it was speed to power. Rex and I have talked about this a bunch, and then press in the pocket, like I said early. But, I mean, I've got to talk about Joe Thuney playing left tackle and how well he did throughout the course of this year. But right here, this play right here, okay, let me just go off on this play about this is "We Are Tired of You" hit right here, okay, by Jalen Carter. We've heard enough about you going for 3 in a row. We've heard enough about being Patrick Mahomes in the Kansas City Chiefs. It's about Jalen Carter didn't care right there, fellas. It was about I'm going to hit you in the face, and I don't care what the ramifications are. Joe Thuney, great, probably the best left guard in football. But it's a two-person move here. Mm-hmm. Lewis was talking about this in the meeting. You're weaker now at left tackle. Then Caliendo comes in. He's the one that got beat for the strip sack that almost took Patrick Mahomes' arm off. Mm-hmm. So these were the issues that they got away with. The Houston Texans almost made them pay for it with Will Anderson, the 2 sacks he had. But the Eagles just had the front to really take advantage of the whole unit.
I have to represent my guy, Jeff Saturday, while I'm here.
Okay.
Run the ball. Run the ball, because a lot of the pass rush was a result of the Eagles not having the feeling that they had to settle down. If you watch the difference between both defensive lines, as you saw, the Chiefs, the reason why they stopped Saquon is they weren't really pass rushing. They were run stopping to their pass rush. The Eagles were pinning their ears back and incredibly disciplined with the way that they closed the pocket. And rather than calling actual design runs, a lot of the Chiefs' run game was RPO. And so the Eagles dictated them out of the running attack. And then you see these guys playing left tackle. You're asking Joe Thuney to play left tackle with great pass rushers in front of him with nothing to slow him down, nothing for him to think about.
There were moments when Nolan Smith would line up outside of the tackle, like me to you, on second down. He would be 4 or 5 yards outside of the offensive tackle. Clear pass rush, clear like we don't care anything about the run, and it was a straight line to run through. I mean, why do those outside rush guys line up that wide? It was, and we couldn't chip. You know, there was like a clear, we're just going pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, to me, guys, they're playing the run on the way, on the way to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. They could care less. They're going to re-hour. You're going to run the ball? Okay, we'll fall into it. It was about hitting that quarterback every snap and taking advantage of the fact that you're not running the football. But, guys, this whole game was about mentality. Yeah. And when we talked about it on our show yesterday, I said, how are they going to beat these guys? They're not intimidated by these damn guys. They came in there and said, we're from Philly. We're going to knock you out. You may hit us with a jab. We're going to hit you with a left hook and knock you the heck out. That's how they played that game. We saw it when we got the strip sack and then the punch on Mahomes in the face. They could care less. You're right. It was about the mentality. We're going to out-physical you. This game's still about being physical, and they did it. The mentality of it, that was what was on display as well to me.
I think that's probably the most important point, Rex, is, look, we spend a lot of times getting into the minutia of the X's and O's about the game and about how it's about scheme and it's about route design and it's about numbers advantage. It's about and it is about those things. But at this time of year, you know it's still about the same thing it was back in 1960, 1970, and 1980. Yeah. It's about imposing your will against your opponent. And look, we were standing down the field, and I was with the great Charles Woodson, a former teammate of mine. He said, look, you know how you have all get-off-the-bus teams that when they get off the bus, you go, damn, they look like they're going to be pretty good. This is a team that gets off the bus. You say that to yourself, and then the first snap you go up against them, they go, oh, they are pretty good. And they are nasty, and they play that way for 4 hours. And that game was exhausting for for Kansas City.
Yeah,
you could see mentally, you saw their energy meter just going like this with every single hit. It was like,
Painful to
we don't
watch.
have a chance. We don't have a
Exhausting
chance.
for us
We don't
to
have
watch.
It's an exhausting game for them.
So I was trying to think of a comparison to this. The legendary quarterback off a great season having being dominated like that in the Super Bowl. I think we go back to what the Seahawks did to Peyton Manning and the Broncos the year the Broncos had set every offensive record in the book, basically, and this game winds up 43-8. That's the game that started with that, the safety where the ball was snapped over Peyton Manning's head, and who would have thought that would have been the highlight of the game offensively for Denver. 43-8 was the final of that. That was the Legion of Boom at their very best. This felt like that, Dan. So I want to get to Jalen Hurts, and I want to get to Saquon Barkley. I want to give credit to everyone that deserves it in Philly because that was such a thorough defeat. But to me, this game was about the Eagles' defense. It was as good a defensive performance as I can remember seeing in a spot like this since that game.
It's funny because a couple weeks ago I said this. Watching this defense felt like the Legion of Boom because from my offensive perspective, they're not overly complicated scheme-wise.
Right.
4-man rush. You're going to get cover 4.
Blitz once.
So, Teddy, there was 6 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Gosh.
We're in the game. Up on the board is a next-gen stats, I believe, and it said 52% pressure rate, 0 blitzes. So as an offensive, you're sitting there going, I know what they're doing. They're not trying to confuse me. They are just physically whooping me. And that's what made Patrick unsettled. And when I look at my notes, I said, this is the worst performance I've ever seen from an Andy Reid coach football team. Outclassed, out-physical. There was so much drop-back pass, little protection help. There been little 12 play action, low energy. I mean, it was 17-0. And I remember going to Lewis and going, dude, they're walking everywhere. It almost felt like they made him say, no mas. Like, we're good. It's the hanging of the head.
There was no thinking. It was this exclamation point to where there was no magic defensive scheme or anything like that.
Sometimes you just know that the opponent is better.
You made the point
you know that
earlier,
they're bigger, faster,
Lewis,
stronger.
that we didn't get into the minutia and the X's and O's because you don't have to.
Correct.
Right.
That's something.
I'm saying sometimes we do.
Right, but
when we just need to boil it down to what it is.
There were
like
no
one front, one
X's and O's.
coverage.
They were playing basic 4s and 6s and just it's not. It sounds disrespectful to say that they're like a high school team, but I mean that in the way that they're better than everybody. They run simple stuff because the people across from them just are not as big and strong and fast as they are.
Rex.
Yeah, I just thought they got out-coached, too. And Andy Reid, as great a coach as he was, that was an absolute horrendous game. And it makes sense. Guys, look, Philadelphia comes into the game. You realize they gave up more rushing yards in the season than they gave up passing yards? Mm-hmm. That's a stat. Well, what the hell are you doing running the ball 3 times? You want to slow a pass rush down? How about you run the ball?
Yeah.
Can't get a sack on a damn running play. Your quarterback can't get hit on a running play. Like, I thought it was horrendous. How's another way? How about screens? 1 screen in the first half.
They've been one of the best screen teams in the last 10 years of football.
So they got away from who they were. You know who did it? Philadelphia. Philly's like, and I love the whole game by Sirianni. They stayed true to who they were. 4-man rush. We're going to play different coverages in the back, and we're going to put it on our dogs up front to go hunting. That's exactly what they did. And then offensively, they stayed ran the football. And you know what? We don't care. We're going to take our shots when we want. They stayed the course. Kansas City flinched.
We saw that a little bit in the divisional round when you watched how the Rams attacked Philadelphia. They ran the ball. They were very balanced. A lot of open throwing windows for Matthew Stafford, and they moved the ball at will, quite honestly, against Philadelphia. And were it not for Jalen Carter wrecking the game in the end, they may have won that football game. Kansas City kind of had an idea of how they wanted to play this game, and they weren't going to get off it. It was just that simple. They were going to say 15 is the equalizer. He'll manage the pass rush with his football IQ, and he wasn't able to. I'm telling you, he was going over the sideline going, can't do it.
Yeah. And he most certainly could not. All right, we'll pause, but only.
Where's the contract?
Hour number 2, we are live in New Orleans. Look at the squad. Look at the studio. Roll the highlight. Let's go. Super Bowl 59 last night here in New Orleans. And the stars were out. The president was there last night. Taylor Swift was there last night. Everybody looking to see history get made. Early on, the flags, Dan, a little bit a part of the story in both directions.
I disagreed with both of them. I thought the deep ball to A.J. Brown on offensive pass interference, bad call, and I thought that unsportsmanlike with McDuffie, bad call. But it also was Jalen Hurts throwing the ball down the field, a little bit of a change at the line of scrimmage play-wise. And Dotson with the double move, beautiful connection, leads to the tush push. Early success for Philadelphia's offense.
The Dotson play originally ruled a touchdown. If you had him scoring the first touchdown last night, that would have been a very nice one to have. Instead, it goes the other way. This is the series where everything turns, Lewis. Just the total domination by the Philly defense.
Yeah, it's just that constricting nature of the pass rush. Outside in, you see the pocket just collapse. And then as Patrick is trying to move up in the pocket and find outlets, the interior rushers are saying there's nowhere to go, man. And his eyes started coming down. He started missing throws. And these are the kind of results that he started getting.
Well, Dominique, that was it. Sack, pick six.
My guy, DeGene Cooper, out here balling from the nickel spot. I see you, big dog. I see you. Let's
And on
go,
his
Pioneer.
birthday, that was his first career interception return for a touchdown. It happens on his birthday.
And racist.
Patrick Mahomes can't believe it. 17-0. Now, another one. Teddy, your guy, Zach Bond.
The pressure had something to do with it. Tooney got put in his lap, but this guy was probably the best linebacker in the league this year, the season. He had 10 plus 11 takeaways in the season. Great catch.
And then incredibly, we have a minute and change to go in the first half, and the game is over. That's A.J. Brown untouched into the end zone. It's 24-0. Maybe one more chance for Kansas City. Final minute of the half, Dan. This DeAndre Hopkins play, this could have been huge.
This is a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins is wide open. No one's within 20 yards of him, and they just missed. Patrick misses the throw. DeAndre doesn't get the connection. And it felt like if there was any light in this team, you could see it with Chris Jones. That play took it away.
Patrick Mahomes in the first half had a QBR of 1. The digit
That's
1.
wild to me.
On a scale of 1 to 100, it was a 1, and then it just continues.
Just look again, time and time again, Teddy, the rush lanes look the same. Constrict from the outside. I'm going to try and step up. There's nowhere to go. I get sacked, and he just got beat up.
Saquon Barkley did not dominate the game, but clearly his presence was a major factor.
Defensive game plan in terms of how you deal with Saquon resulted in single receivers down the field, big shots, and there's Saquon out of the backfield. You can't give it to him every play. Nice catch by Saquon.
Still in the third quarter, Dan, how about the 46-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith?
They just get the ball back after a stop, and the play-action pass to take the shot, and the nail in the coffin is awesome. He sees the safety double A.J. Brown, and the throw over the top on the post is awesome. Beautiful protection, but it's a fantastic read and throw from Jalen Hurts.
And then finally, the game is over. Rex, the domination of the Eagle defense perhaps best summed up on this play here.
Oh, this is it right here. It's about mentality. How are you going to beat the champ? You knock him out. That's what the hell you do. That's what we get it. We get the strip sack here, and we got the knockout punch. The 15-yard penalty, who cares? Man, you take it from him.
40-22 is the final, and it wasn't nearly that close. Saquon Barkley and company, Super Bowl champs. Jalen is the MVP. Let's hear from the winners after a dominant performance in Super Bowl 59.
She looked prettier in person. I tell you that. You think about it. It's better in person than it is in Madden. I tell you that. Playing as a kid, but it's everything you dream of, and I'm just happy to be able to hold it, give it a kiss, and be world champs.
We're going to play word play here.
My dog.
Okay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, what is he?
Dog.
Jalen Carter.
Dog.
Cooper DeJean.
Dog.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Dog.
Defense full of dogs. You're the top dog.
Dog. Dog.
And now you're a Super Bowl champion, man.
Super Bowl champ. This is unbelievable.
It's only the beginning until it's the end, and the end ain't coming anytime soon.
Oh, it's delightful to see him so enthusiastic. Jalen Hurts.
That's the way he is.
He got
I hope he
tell-
enjoys it a little bit over the next couple days, man.
No one deserves it more than he does. With all of the conversation that has surrounded him, he stepped up and played huge. Look, the history will show, as I've said repeatedly this morning, that the final score was 40-22. That in no way does justice to how one-sided this game was. The Eagles dominated it basically from the first moment to the last, and as thoroughly as you possibly can. Dan, what was the key?
It's the worst game I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes play. It's the most uncharacteristic I've seen Patrick Mahomes play. The misses, the unsettled, the hurry part of it, and it's a poor performance by everybody attached to that football team under Andy Reid. But to watch Patrick play so hurried and unsettled from the start of the game, that was the big takeaway. This is the first third down of the game. They drop down and they're playing man coverage, and you can see no one's open. But Patrick turns into, I got to turn around and try to make this a runaround game. And this defensive line for Philadelphia played with such discipline and connectivity. That's the first third down of the game, and they challenged them with man-to-man coverage, and nothing's there. This is the start a drive. Okay, you're trying to move the pocket. Kelsey gets beat off the snap by almost a full count there. Instead of getting outside of the pocket, Patrick's hemmed in. But the next play's the one for me that told me this is different. Watch how quickly he leaves to become a runner here. He's going to try to quickly throw the ball at the bottom of the screen. He's running right now. His receivers are 2 yards downfield. I mean, he went to like catch and throw and run in less than 1 second. That told me that there's a high level of discomfort. This is the 3rd and 16 pick. It's 3rd and 16. He knows this. Cooper DeJean just playing in zone coverage. He's reading Patrick. Patrick to not have just the awareness of, you know he's going to be there. It's 3rd and 16. Even if you got a completion, you're not going to get the first down. And then the second interception. See how quickly he gets off of that initial read? Kelsey's open, but he quickly just predetermines, I'm not throwing the ball there. Reset. The pressure forces interception. It was just such an uncharacteristic performance by a guy that we say is one of the greats of all time.
And I guess what it means, and Rex, you said it earlier this morning, is that what was you saying about going at the head of the snake or whatever it is?
Cut the head of the snake off, man. I mean, that's what happens. And to me, when you hit the quarterback, the whole team feels it. It happened. That's what happened. Every single person on that field felt it. So when, hey, we got Patrick Mahomes, you know what? They could care less. Yeah. We're going to smash them. And when you smash the quarterback, man, I'm telling you, the whole team, like they lost. Mahomes and all, played with no confidence. Why? He had no chance. He is the leader. The head got cut off, man. The whole body. You got guys dropping passes. You got guys can't block me. Chance. Running for his life. And by the way, the defense also flinched. And so to me, that's what happens. They lost. The entire football team lost confidence. They know going in the game, we got the better quarterback. We got the better coach. Not that game you did it. You got out-coached and your quarterback got outplayed.
You're watching this rip of plays right here, all these pressures. And Teddy, you referenced it quickly earlier. But in scouting, and in coaching as well, you never want to make 2 moves to correct one problem. Joe Thuney moving to left tackle and then inserting a backup into the left guard position. That's 2 moves to fix one spot, which was left tackle, which was a problem all year long. Eventually, that was going to come back to bite you. And as the competition started to ramp up, it really came back to bite him. If you just watch this, they took turns going against Joe Thuney. Guys were rotating over there. Jalen Hunt went over there. Josh Sweat went over there. Milton Williams said, hey, I want you to run an ET so I can loop around there so I can get some of it too. This is one of the best guards in the NFL. Just imagine what he's thinking today as well. Yeah. This is a guy who's an all-pro, a perennial all-pro, who went out there and says, look, I had no answer because this is what this game came down to. Yeah. These guys were bigger, faster, more athletic than me, and I was out of position. There's nothing you can do about that.
And
it's as simple as that.
Almost smarter, too, and I'll say that because I see those plays you're showing right there, Lou, and that's game plan. That's they're the same move. Like knowing all I want to do was get up there and press Thuney straight back into Patrick Mahomes, and they did it from the other side with Taylor. Sweat had a great game, 2.5 sacks. Everyone that had their turn and took their turn was just pressing the pocket because they knew what it would do. Patrick is so fundamentally sound. He's going to step up, of course, but you've got the tackle sitting there and waiting. It was almost like a trap. It was
That's a great analogy. They set a trap for him.
Yeah,
Just come on up here.
Fancy stuff you go over, Dan. I mean, with all the play concept, but along the defensive line, that's the plan right there.
Yeah.
Press, be ready, simple plan.
To your point
execute it.
about intelligence and discipline, how many times have we seen Patrick Mahomes make a 6-yard, 7-yard, 10-yard run in these big games? Because this team was not just physical and fast and strong, they were disciplined and smart. He wasn't able to do that. He would step up and get hit. When he would get rid of the ball, there were no missed tackles by the team. They were just under control the entire time. And we saw the opposite discipline on the other side, where you had that unnecessary roughness penalty. Hasn't gotten much attention in the second quarter. Nick Bolton got that. Where we're looking at like 2nd and 20. Unnecessary roughness, first down, leads to points. You have Mahomes turning the ball over. We talked about all the time that the way that the Chiefs have won all year long was be conservative, wait for you to make mistakes. We're going to drag you into deep water where you're uncomfortable, and we are the most comfortable in these high-pressure situations. But they, in these high-pressure situations, were making the mistakes that the Eagles just weren't making.
Teddy, it was interesting you talked about, like, the plan and whatnot, because going into the game, it felt for me like this was the ultimate X's and O's versus execution bowl.
Yeah.
You know, the Chiefs are the X's and O's team. They're super creative on offense. Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, Spags on defense. They're trying to give you all the different things. And then Philadelphia is just execution. Like, we're just going to out-execute you. And I love scheme more than anybody. The X's and O's and the different ways that offenses and defenses work. The reality that we were reminded, one, the line of scrimmage matters the most in this game. Always have, always will. And two, in the playoffs, this team is plus 12 in the turnover differential. They took the ball away 13 times in the playoffs and only gave it away once. This is a team that is not overly complicated with what they do. When they line up, they're going to take their shots down the field on offense, and they're going to run the football. They line up on defense, they're going to play 1 or 2 coverages, they're going to give you 1 or 2 fronts, and they're just going to physically whoop you. And that was the shocking thing, that they did it.
I think the next phase, as far as the evolution of the Kansas City Chiefs, when you say, look, is this dynasty, is this the end of it? I think the next phase in the evolution of this team is to probably, I would bet you, to go back to some of the basics, which is this. We can't always just rely on Andy. We can't rely on Spags. We can't rely on Patrick. At some point in time, when we come out of the locker room, people have to say, that's the all get off the bus team. We need more of those dudes, because now we have everything else. We have the football knowledge. We have the brain power. We have the greatest quarterback maybe, that the game has seen. But honestly, we need more reinforcements now. Like, they have to get back to being who Andy was when he was early on in Philadelphia, which was, look, where do you think Philadelphia gets this blueprint from?
Right.
He established this back in 1999 when he was hired there. Build it inside out, build it front to back, the same way your teams were built.
Playing tackle, you
know what I mean? Runyon and Trey Thomas and those guys. Shawn Andrews, they need some of those dudes again, and they're going to get on the hunt. They're going to have to go find them.
Rex, in the meantime, we asked a question earlier that we never got back to. And look, Kansas City's not going anywhere. If you have Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be in the thick of it for 15 years. If their dip is winning, going, what were they, 15-2 this year, and they didn't even try to win one of those games, and losing in the Super Bowl, that's a down year for this team. They'll be back. But the Eagles are young. In most places, they are young. They've got an aggressive and dynamic personnel guy in Howie Roseman, who did an unbelievable job. You just drafted. Half these guys are rookies, it feels like, and Zach Bond's the guy they got from nowhere. Do the Eagles look like this could be the beginning of something, not the culmination of something?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly do. And when you look at it, the success the last, few years, remember, we maybe don't feel the same way about the Eagles because last year they got beat, first round of play. They did win 10 games in a row to start the season. So, to me, this thing is all about their personnel is better than your personnel. 100%. They've had the best roster in the National Football League. And by the way, they're young. The mentality of their football team, they have the formula. It works for us. You know what I mean? Here's a pickup, Zach Bond. Okay, they brought him in as a 4th edge rusher. You know what? coaching matters. Vic Fangio's a real coach.
Yeah.
He ends up saying, I'm going to put this guy in an off linebacker position, inside linebacker, and all he does should have won MVP, defensive MVP. It shouldn't have even been close. I don't know who the hell votes for this award, but this guy's amazing. Cooper DeJean gets drafted in the second round, should have been a first. They always hit. They hit all the time. Why? They don't worry about, I'm filling a need. There is no need. They're going to get the best player. And that's how they hit the draft. That's why they don't have misses in the draft. And so to me, it's that simple. Yes, this team could be their own dynasty. Now, what stands in their way? A team that can do that is multiple on offense, that can run the football with a physicality, and a team that can throw it. A team like Detroit, a team like Baltimore. That's what's going to be in their way, I think.
It's the best organization of football right now. You could say that. It's the best organization of football. I mean, think about it. I don't know. 5 years ago, they paid Carson Wentz a gajillion bucks. I was a massive Carson Wentz fan. And then within 18 months,
that's exactly what I was going to point to.
They draft Jalen Hurts.
We talk about all the moves that Howie Roseman has made, and honestly, a lot of them are obvious. Like Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, not too hard. Zach Bond is
Jalen
different.
Carter.
Putting Mekhi Becton at guard. Like, he's big, strong, and fast. These are easy. The one that was really out there was drafting of Jalen Hurts in that situation. Like, that was the one that had Philly fans confused.
A year after
upset.
you paid Carson $150 million.
And that's the type of, like, aggressive, like, we believe what we believe to know. And I don't know what it is that they saw in him, but they were obviously right.
It looks like you're losing a coordinator, right?
Yeah.
You're losing a coordinator.
Yeah. Kellen Moore will be the head coach of the Saints at some point the next day.
So that always starts it. I mean, coaches leave. I mean, players leave. But in terms of repeating as champions or keeping things going, it isn't just black and white, automatic like that. Who's going to be calling the plays?
Well, he'll be the third of their coordinators to become a head coach in the last 2 years, right? You've got Shane Steichen, you have Jonathan Gannon, and now you will have Kellen Moore. All the criticism. Oh, you know what? We're an hour and 16 minutes into this show. I have not said the word Nick or Sirianni yet so far. Let's go back to a moment in time this season where we were having conversations on this show, Get Up, and on our show, Sunday NFL Countdown, about whether or not the Eagles should fire Nick Sirianni. From that point forward, they haven't lost a game that their quarterback finished, and they are the Super Bowl champions. What do we say about their head coach, Rex?
Well, first off, I think, remember, I said there, and said it was asinine to fire this guy. Look at his record. Well, I thought we were judging guys on records. All right? I know he was yelling at fans, which was absolutely ridiculous. However, the thing I like about this guy right here, I mean, number one, he has a little Philly swag to him. He does kind of fit that mold, and you can criticize me all you want. You don't believe? Fine. I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove it to you. His record speaks volumes about the kind of coach he is. And the thing that I love, he humbled himself to where it's like, okay, I want to throw the ball over the place. You know what? It's not the best thing for us to win. He placed winning over everything else. He didn't care about style points. And you know what? Neither does his quarterback, by the way, who all he is a winner. But
I'll say who he got the ear of. He got the ear of Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley started believing in that head coach, and Saquon Barkley transformed the leadership of that team, in my opinion. And the change came when, during all this heat, right, Saquon Barkley ends up coming out and starts quoting Nick Sirianni to the media. And that's when you know you got the player believing in you. And then everyone else is like, look at that. What is it? You can't be great without the greatness of others.
Yes.
Okay, that's the big Sirianni thing that he was pumping last night. And Saquon, in the middle of the year, was starting to quote that, and really he backed Sirianni, and that was huge too.
Absolutely.
We're going to lose Dominique to the airport. Give us some final thoughts.
I think one of the challenges of being a leader is that we all assume that leadership looks the same everywhere, and I think I fell into that trap too. And we assume that no one else is making mistakes because some of the things that we consider mistakes from Sirianni were so public and kind of embarrassing. And like the last Super Bowl when he's talking trash across the sideline, he's yelling at fans. That doesn't mean that the other coaches that we are critical of aren't making mistakes. They just aren't loud mistakes. So, like, he is a great coach. And what that team needed, he had. And this was not an easy team to coach, even though it's very talented, coming off what they had last year, what they were going into this year. Like, he deserves credit. And I was one of the people, I wasn't saying that he should be fired, but I was one of the people who was saying that it's reasonable to challenge some of the things that he's had. And I think the thing that I've learned is, like, Just because the mistakes are loud doesn't mean that the other coaches aren't having quiet mistakes that are just as impactful. The way that he led was exceptional.
One of the things they like to talk about around there is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
That's a phrase that the owner has used as well. Obviously, Nick Sirianni has shown a lot of emotional intelligence this year to say, hey, look, all right, what am I doing what's best for this football team, number one, in terms of how we like to attack opponents? No, I'm not. So we're going to put this offense and run it through Saquon Barkley, period, number one. And number two, am I helping this team by yelling at fans and having people really get distracted about what I really am, which is a pretty damn good coach and a pretty damn good leader that everyone believes in? No, he toned that down, and look what the result is. You have to give him a ton of credit for all of that.
He gets criticized for coaching great players. Well, I got news for you. Not everybody can coach great players.
Yeah.
All right. There's everybody needs players to win. All right. There's some coaches can't win with great players, and Nick Sirianni certainly can win with great players.
All right, Dominique.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.